It was 1940, World War II. Nazi planes were bombing London.
The sound of gunfire has been rolling down these crooked streets like thunder.
Through it all, Americans counted on one man to be their eyes and ears, Edward R. Murrow.
And I'm not searching for adjectives to make this sound dramatic, just telling you what I've seen.
The war with Iraq is underway.
And we should report that Iraq has begun to strike back with missiles aimed at U.S. and British targets.
It also came this morning that loose lips sink ships.
In France, the National Assembly suspended its session.
Everyone was wearing a gas mask if they'd been issued one.
Essentially what we're doing is we're rumbling along north in the general direction of Baghdad.
Earlier this evening, just a few hours ago, we heard it seemed
giving me instructions, showing me the packs so that I could be some assistance to them.
We've been at this post at Incirlik Air Base for several weeks now. There have been about 50 planes.
I'm right on.
In the 1950s, in a climate of guilt by association, Murrow confronted powerful Senator Joseph McCarthy, exposed his tactics of intimidation, and helped put an end to McCarthyism.
We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent.
Murrow's courageous pursuit of the truth set the standard against which all broadcast reporters are now measured.
Indeed. Although I presumptuously use his sign-off each night in feeble tribute, I have utterly no claims to the words of the exemplary journalist Edward R. Murrow. But never in the trial of 1,000 years of writing could I come close to matching how he phrased a warning to an earlier generation of us, at a time when other politicians thought they, and they alone, knew everything, and branded those who disagreed confused or immoral. Thus forgive me for reading Murrow in full. We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty, he said in 1954. We must remember always that accusation is not proof and that conviction depends upon evidence and due process of law. We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we dig deep in our history and our doctrine and remember that we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who feared to write, to speak, to associate, and to defend causes that were, for the moment, unpopular. And so, good night and good luck.
Hi, everyone. This year, nearly 155,000 Americans will be diagnosed with colon cancer, and about 52,000 will die.
Stand by, Walter. Okay.
President Kennedy was a victim of a leftist fanatic. That's the way it is. This is Walter Cronkite. Good night.
That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
I began by saying that our history will be what we make it. If we go on as we are, then history will take its revenge and retribution will not limp in catching up with us. Just once in a while, let us exalt the importance of ideas and information. Let us dream to the extent of saying that on a given Sunday night, the time normally occupied by Ed Sullivan is given over to a clinical survey on the state of American education. And a week or two later, the time normally used by Steve Allen is devoted to a thoroughgoing study of American policy in the Middle East. Would the corporate image of their respective sponsors be damaged? Would the shareholders rise up in their wrath and complain? Would anything happen other than a few million people would have received a little illumination on subjects that may well determine the future of this country and therefore the future of the corporations? To those who say people wouldn't look, they wouldn't be interested, they're too complacent, indifferent, and insulated, I can only reply, there is, in one reporter's opinion, considerable evidence against that contention. But even if they are right, what have they got to lose? Because if they are right, and this instrument is good for nothing but to entertain, amuse, and insulate, then the tube is flickering now, and we will soon see that the whole struggle is lost. This instrument can teach, it can illuminate, and yes, it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it towards those ends. Otherwise, it is merely wires and lights in a box. Good night, and good luck.